Good morning, I'm WaywornWyrm, and welcome to my channel. And welcome to episode 4 of Spaces Wide and Good Friends Are Too Few through the jump points. So, between last episode and this episode, I lost all of the data on my computer. So, I have to actually restart this story, but how I'm doing that is we're jumping forward about 100 years in time, and there should be almost no break in continuity between the old story and the new. We last left off with them discovering jump points, and in this episode, it's almost 100 years later, and they're entering the jump points for the first time. So, enjoy. Official report on first jump, Ross 248, Captain Oscar Halloway, 20th June 2100. On the 24th of May 2100, we engaged the jump engines on the EFSN Bunker Hill at exactly 1000. Everything seemed to slide for a second. It's very hard to describe the process, but everything then slid back into place and focus. Obviously, at first there seemed to be no difference, but checking with our passive sensors, we detected we were no longer in the Sol system, but we were in a system with a single M6-5 class star. The second thing our scanners told us was the Acheron and Ariel had both made the jump. As predicted, the jump bubble created by the Bunker Hill was able to engulf the other two cruisers and take them with us. Quickly checking our clocks, it appeared that our journey took no time at all. Side note here, once we returned to Sol, it was discovered that our clocks were still synced to fleet headquarters, so the journey did take no time at all. Continuing the scans, we found that there were 2 planets and 36 asteroids orbiting this red dwarf star. The star was about 16% of the mass of the Sun and had a luminosity of 0.5% of the Sun. We then moved our focus to scanning the stars around to try and find several stars we could match and start using them to place where we were. And eventually we found several, including the Sun. We determined that we were in the system Ross 248, located about 10 light-years from the Sol system in the constellation of Andromeda. The first planet in orbit of Ross 248 is a terrestrial planet, a bit less than half the size of Earth, orbiting Ross 248 at a predicted average of 1.35 million kilometers. We detected a trace atmosphere and a gravity most likely around 2/3 of Earth. It is tidally locked, and the hot side of the planet red at 432.2 degrees centigrade, an axial tilt of 28 degrees, and a day that was 18.4 hours long. Also a year that was 18.4 hours long. The second planet is a Jovian planet, between the sizes of Saturn and Jupiter. It has no atmosphere, despite our estimates that the gravity sits close to 6.5 times that of Earth's. It orbits at an average of 17.3 million kilometers and is also tidally locked, but a temperature on the hot side of negative 78.5 degrees centigrade. It is a day lasting about 36 days on Earth and sits at a 38-degree axial tilt. Its mass is 600 times of Earth, but a density of about 2/3 of that of Earth. Both planets have a magnetic field, Ross 248A1 having a field 5 times stronger than Earth, and the second planet having one 25 times stronger. Slowing to 1/3 of our top speed, I had the Acheron turn on its active sensors and the task group Bunker Hill move into the system to gain most of the sensor data I described in the composition of the planets and to make sure the system was empty. Upon finding nothing, we turned around and returned to Sol at full speed. Official report on second jump, Lumen 16, Captain Noel Prue, 24th June, 2100. At 0330 on the 25th of May, 2100, the second jump of the Earth Federation happened, and the process was quite similar to what Captain Oscar Holloway described. This jump was completed by the Task Force Group Cambrai. Like the Task Group Bunker Hill, we found ourselves approximately 50,000 kilometers from the actual jump point. Unlike the Bunker Hill, we found a structure built around the jump point. The current prevailing hypothesis is that an alien version of the jump gate structures that we have theorized but have not yet made. A large structure that is able to create jump point bubbles for ships without a jump engine to pass through. We found ourselves in a system with 2 stars, and we were inside the orbit of the second star, although at the moment it is at a distant part of its orbit. The A star was an L8-7 class star, with the B star being a T1-7 star. With both stars being brown dwarfs, it was fairly easy to figure out where we were, and using the same star-finding methods as Captain Holloway, we determined that we were at Lumen 16, 6.5 light years from Earth. With a built structure, I ordered the same tactics as Holloway did, having the ball turn on its active sensors, and the task group as a whole visited both stars in the system at 1/3 speed. Other than the fact that someone at some point visited Lumen 16 and built a jump gate on the jump point with Earth, there's no other evidence that we found of life. Once we visited both stars, we turned off active sensors and came back to the Sol system at full speed. I will not go into detail about every part of the system, because there's one gas giant with 12 moons in orbit of Lumen 16A, and 2 gas giants with 13 moons around the second and 129 asteroids orbiting Lumen 16B. My advice to the Earth Federation Space Navy is to set up a base in Lumen 16 as soon as possible, and quite possibly put a picket line on the jump point, given that we are able to use the gate to jump home, and the jump point is located between the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn. An overall survey of Lumen 16 is advisable due to its current emptiness and the possibility of future presence in the system by societies as of yet unknown. Official report on third jump, Bernard's Star, Captain Mason Ladson, 15th November, 2100. On the 1st of September 2100, we jumped into the system of Bernard's Star, marking the third such jump by EFSN ships. We found ourselves in a red dwarf system that was eventually proven to be Bernard's Star, about 6 light years away from Earth. What we found was a very spread out system, as 3 planets, ranging in orbit from 83 million kilometers for the first, a gas giant, to 4.5 billion kilometers for the second, a terrestrial planet, and 17.1 billion kilometers for the third, a dwarf planet. There are 21 moons split almost evenly between the first 2 planets, and 97 asteroids in a semi-distinct cloud, with the first planet orbiting in the middle of the cloud. Due to how far the jump point was from the main system, it took us until October 5th to reach Bernard's Star A1 at 1/3 speed. Finding nothing there, and not sure about how far our fuel would last due to the bad positioning of the other 2 planets, I decided to go to full speed and leave the system, which was completed 15 days later. The only interesting thing found was the second planet had traces of an atmosphere. Its pressure is 0.21% of Earth's and is made up of 82% hydrogen, 14.9% helium, and 3.1% argon. This makes Bernard's star A2 the only planet found outside of Sol to have an atmosphere thick enough to be measurable. However, given the tiny size of the planet and the distance from the star, its temperature is negative 257 degrees centigrade, just 16 degrees above absolute zero. Thank you for listening to the 4th episode of Space is Wide and Good Friends Are Too Few. Make sure to tune in on my YouTube channel tomorrow morning for my Monday morning live stream. And tune in 2 weeks. That would be April 15th for the 5th episode of Space is Wide and Good Friends Are Too Few. And make sure you tune in on my Twitch channel, which you can find in the description below, for next Sunday evening, that's April 8th, where me, my wife, and a few friends will be playing a live stream Dungeons & Dragons game. Thank you.